Welcome, everyone, to the Energy Advisors Podcast. I'm your host, Rex, that energy guy. Glad to have you with us no matter where you are listening in or watching around the globe. Excited because we have friends in 15 countries. Today, I got a great episode. I want to talk about the impact of transportation costs of electricity for utility companies when it comes to people doing renewables. But before we go there today, I would like to uh, remind you, life is busy. We don't always have a chance to catch up with every single episode or things we're subscribed to. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to episode number 70, I did a quick update on a builder who actually will change the orientation of your house, regardless of your lot, to maximize solar. Pretty cool stuff. All right. But before we get into today's quick episode, I want to thank the sponsors in our program. It's always great to have people who are aligned with the Energy Advisors. Our first one is Powur. If you're going to do residential rooftop solar, that's the only organization to work with. A footprint across the United States. They do things right. They train their people. Not a whole lot of organizations do this, and they provide open solutions so you can pick and choose the solution that works with just your requirements. So it's not a one size fits all. So if you'd like to get in touch with them, please go to energyadvisors.today. We'll connect you with them. Our other, we actually have two other sponsors in the program. First is the Go Green Community Initiative. I love what they're doing. This is a nonprofit that is dedicated to 100% education, helping residents understand what they can do currently, all of the facts on how to conserve, manage, generate, and how to afford those, the tax credits, you name it, but it's all done in a non-biased, non-sales environment. So again, go to the website, we'll connect you with them. And of course, Universal Wind Kinetics. They have great solutions in microturbines to help you generate electricity. If you have not looked at this technology, major advancements have taken place. And actually, when the wind is blowing, of course, just like anything, when the sun is shining, they can actually outperform solar panels. So a great addition to your home energy plan. Okay, so today I want to talk about this because a lot of people don't understand about transportation costs, okay, and how that impacts the utility companies. Because most of the time they're not going to share this information with you. And this gets into sort of the discussion or argument, depending on how you want to look at this, regarding net metering, pushing your excess electricity back to the utility company. All right. So I'm here in Colorado. That's where the show emanates. And my local utility provider is Xcel Energy. Now, Xcel Energy is a publicly traded for-profit organization. Now, their footprint currently in Colorado across the markets that they serve is roughly 5% of the residential customers, and actually it's less than probably 1% of the commercial customers are actually gone solar. Okay, so not very much in wind yet. That's up and coming. Now, with their footprint of 5%, that means that they're not that far along. It's nowhere near California numbers. And in fact, in Colorado, of all the utility providers, there's only one, Holy Cross, that has double-digit adoption rates of solar. And what takes place in net metering is, for those who may be new to the concept, is the fact that the excess electricity that you are generating is pushed back onto the grid. Now, where does that electricity go? Well, that electricity goes to a node, okay? And then from that node, it basically then goes back to the nearby facilities that are not back net metering, okay? So it's just putting supply back into the grid, that the portion of the grid that your utility company manages. Now, let me throw some numbers at you so you understand this. Here in Colorado at Xcel, and then these are their numbers. This came to all the customers in their mailing just recently, back in February of 2024. Right now, if you look at the cost of your electricity, so for every dollar, 40% of that comes to pay for transportation. Now, when we're talking transportation, we're talking about the cost that it takes to generate that power, actually to move it, that generated power from their power plants, their wind farms, their solar arrays, to your home. So 40 cents on the dollar, 40%. That's for residential. For business, it's 34%. So it's a big portion of the cost that we pay. So just think about that. If you have $100 utility bill, which most people have higher than that, $40 of that is paying for the transportation costs to get it to you. Now, this is where the challenge is with rates. That cost is going to continue to increase because of stress on the grid, because they're having to add more infrastructure, and then also just general costs. You have labor involved in getting maintaining systems, the utility poles being put up, everything. So there's costs associated with that, and that is put into the transportation bucket. Now, when you do renewables and you're generating your own electricity, whether that's solar or wind or a combination of those, the power of your net metering goes back in. It's not coming from their solar farm, their wind farm, their coal plants, or their gas-fired plants. So essentially what's happening is you're reducing a cost for the utility company. Now, I don't know how to measure this, but I know like two of my neighbors, they don't have solar on their house, but I do, and I kick my excess back net metering, and I know that they're consuming my electricity because they're on the same node. Okay, if that makes sense. So what's happening here is we're actually reduced by when we install distributed power sources, when we're generating our own power, we're reducing the cost of that transportation. Now, Excel's not going to tell you that, or your local utility company's not going to tell you that, but it's an argument for what happens with distributed because it is most likely offsetting the money that I'm not paying them anymore. So I haven't had an electrical bill in 3+ years since I went solar. So that revenue, and actually I get a check because when I went solar, had the option to instead of get credits, I actually got a check. So they're not getting any money from me. Okay. And I understand that model. We have to be fair, right? Net metering is going to have to find a middle ground. So we have to be fair. But at the same time, they're not telling us, and I'm not sure if they know how to measure it, but I'm guessing they do because they're smart individuals. The fact that they are reducing their costs. So I'm going to guess that it is not nearly as much expense. In fact, I know it's true to send my electricity to the local node and back to my neighbor's house. So I don't know what that margin is, but here's the key issue. Does that offset the revenue that they no longer get from me? And the answer is probably not. Okay, so maybe it's an impact of 20%, 30%, some sort of cut out of that 40%. So there's still going to be a cost associated, but I'm still consuming some. So it's kind of a nebulous situation, but you need to understand that as you're paying attention to what's happening with net metering laws across the United States. 37 states currently have net metering or some form of net metering or net billing. And there's a difference between that. We've talked in that episode. So pay attention, understand that, understand the arguments, and understand the benefit, because if all of us are soon, or hopefully, or many of us are creating our own electricity, we are taking revenue away from that utility company, but we're also reducing their costs to the consumer that they have that is not generating the electricity because we're cutting transportation costs. It's that simple. All right, that's all I had for you today. Just wanted to give you an FYI, help people understand how this works. That's what we try to do here at Energy Advisors, is give you facts, no spin, and teach you about the entire world of energy. A lot of things happening, great innovation cycles that are happening here in the entire industry that are changing the world. So I always thank you for tuning in. I'm Rex, that energy guy. Glad to have you with us. And until next time, I'll say what I always say. Thanks, and make it a great day.